Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Kansas City Jazz Saxophonist B.J. Jansen. We caught up with B.J. in Kansas City on May 2nd, 2020, during the COVID-19 quarantine to discuss this new world that we live in. He talked about the beginnings of jazz coming to a halt, what's been going on lately, and his hope for the future. Enjoy.
Right on. Well, hey, thank you. Thank you for taking a minute out. It's a very strange and surreal time in our lives in Kansas City Jazz, just all over the place. I appreciate you taking a minute out.
Oh, no worries. You know, we're all in this together, so we all got to do what we can do, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, for sure. And I've just been really trying to reach out to musicians to kind of talk about what's going on, things that, you know, everybody's doing, how we can help support musicians. So, you know, you had reached out to me a little while back about a show, crazy enough, that was going to be in May with Dwayne Eubanks, and obviously that didn't happen. So, talk to me a little bit about how you realized all of this was starting to get to a crescendo and everything was going to get canceled and we were going to be where we're at right now.
You know, how I kind of had an inside track of what's going on because my wife, Jenny, is Chinese and her family obviously is in China. So we were getting news kind of through back channels about the virus and, you know, how serious it was, which was different than what obviously we were getting here from the media and kind of the understanding of what was going on. So, you know, it was kind of watching it, but still, you know, until it's right in front of you, it's hard to really get a grasp on something like this. So really even from January watching it, and then when it started hitting really hard in New York and then seeing, you know, friends and musicians, you know, posting about it and really there were some really bad weeks there, you know, a lot of people either getting sick or passing away. You know, I think here in Kansas City, we definitely have been blessed with, at this point, not shouldering kind of the brunt of it. But it's been interesting to watch sort of the reaction, and it's just a crazy time. So, you know, probably around March 13th, I was actually on a trip to the East Coast, and I basically got a call, hey, you know, it's probably a good idea to come back. So coming back, and that's when they started canceling flights and shutting things down. So it was pretty scary. And then after that, you know, when we started having the mandatory social distancing and different states were shutting down and cities were closing down, kind of watching that transition and then watching it through the lens of even social media and seeing, you know, sort of the response to that and what that's been, you know, musicians posting a lot of content and going live and concerts from their living room and things like that. So it's just been unprecedented, but I think, you know, our whole society is going to be permanently changed by this, and I think music is going to be changed, already has been changed by it.
Yeah, everything has a way of adapting, and that's the thing I think that's promising about jazz musicians, is that you guys primarily don't have a whole lot of money in this art. You do it for the love of it, so I think there's going to be an extra level of survival and innovation that goes into who you guys already are inherently.
Absolutely, I totally agree, and I've seen some really creative stuff. I know a lot of people, including myself, have started, you know, trying to offer content for free. You know, I have a catalog that, you know, I've made available, most of it through YouTube Music, and, you know, posting that and letting so people can actually check it out and play the music for free. Obviously, folks that are going through that medium are still getting paid. It may not be the good old days of what it used to be, right, from record sales and that, but there is monetization that's helping artists. So if you are doing the streaming thing, make sure that you're looking for other ways to support the artist, but and educational content. I've seen a lot of really super creative things coming out, musicians posting different educational things. I know I've just actually this Tuesday launching some quick baritone sax tips that I'm working on, an ongoing weekly every Tuesday launch. So it's been really great to see the positive things that have come out of it. So no doubt people are adapting. They're figuring out new ways using technology. Obviously, technology is not ever going to replace the live. It's not ever going to replace that totally. But it started definitely, I think, opening up the door for more creativity using the technology. One thought I have is doing more of the streaming concerts to be able to reach folks all over the world. Instead of just focusing on doing the live gig type of thing, because one of the things that is the unfortunate truth is there may not be a lot of these clubs that will survive, or the last remnants of kind of the old cycles. It just may not financially survive this.
Yeah.
And that's just unfortunate truth. I mean, we're probably going to lose a lot of venues, a lot of clubs, and not just in music, but venues like restaurants that support music. They may not survive being shut down for 3 months, 4 months. They may not have been able to survive being shut down for 1 week.
Yeah.
So it's the unfortunate truth, but to your point, there's been a lot of positivity and a lot of adaptation and a lot of creative ways that I think the musicians always are finding ways to keep this music viable.
So we're going to get to the end of this. I know it's still a lot of ambiguity going on here, but we're going to get to the end. And when we do, and we're back in a live venue, what do you hope both musician and the audience realizes from this time away? What realizations do you hope they get?
We all take for granted a lot of things in life, and I think this is showing us, what we have been. You don't know what you have till it's been ripped away from you, and one of the things that's been ripped away from us is live music and experiencing that in a communal way. So I hope that there's a greater appreciation in our society of the arts and live living arts like jazz. From a musician standpoint, I think too, a lot of folks get caught into just doing the gig for survival, and maybe pulling back and really taking a look artistically at what you're doing and what direction and why you're doing what you're doing, and maybe adding more intentionality to it, and refining what you're doing, and not taking the fact that maybe you did have the venues and you were able to play, just not taking anything for granted, I guess.
Absolutely. And finally, I know it's probably rhetorical, but what can the fans do out there to support the musicians during this time?
Well, that's an excellent question. And, like I said, there's been a bunch of people doing some creative and great things out there with content. I mean, just really supporting the content, and, even at the local level, I personally am pretty blessed with diversified income. but I know that a lot of musicians have less diversified income, and they were hit much harder than me. So, really figuring out which organizations you can support. I've seen a lot of great things pop up and a lot of local nonprofits that are offering some relief, to musicians that are only relying on performing and teaching income. They've been hit hard the most, and finding ways to support them, whether buying their albums or their merchandise, or supporting organizations that can support them if they're in financial need.
Hey, man, thank you for taking a minute out today for Neon Jazz. I've been really just trying to reach out to all the musicians, not only in Kansas City, but around the world, just to make sure that, the voices get out there and that we support and pick everybody up that needs the help.
Yeah, I always enjoy talking to you, Joe, and, I really thank you for thinking of me and connecting. Everybody stay safe out there. Totally appreciate all that you are doing for the music and all that you're doing during this time, Joe. So, and thanks again.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Kansas City and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to B.J. for his time and dedication to Kansas City Jazz. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, please support the arts and all of these jazz musicians and enjoy the music, my friends.
Neon Jazz.